Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. I haven't seen you guys in ages.
I know, I hear,
Wow. Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Hi,
Oh,
Karen.
nice. Hey, Karen.
Guys,
Alicia, that background's awesome. How did you get that behind you?
I fiddled around with it. I was on a Zoom a couple of weeks ago. It's a picture I took right after I moved here over at Niles. I love it.
oh, wow.
Well, how
Yeah.
do you get that on your background? I've tried to figure that out because I've got these bright windows that I need to ditch.
If you know that on my screen, I can see those three dots on the upper right-hand corner of your square.
Yeah.
Click that and then choose virtual background and see if that'll let you in.
And then you go into your pictures.
Yeah,
Under settings?
Yeah, sometimes it's under settings or backgrounds.
yeah, background and filters. Do you see that option?
No.
Although I think we're on Zoom, right? I don't think you can do it as easily on Zoom. It's a little bit different.
All right, I'll call IT because I did this huge forum last week on quarries and I was the moderator and I had this background right now. And it just was real. When I watched it again, it was not impressive. You know, it just looked very unprofessional. So I need to fix that. Anyway, enough talking about my screen.
Felicia, you are at the beach, aren't you?
Mentally, yeah.
Morning, Rosalie.
good morning.
And Suzanne and
Good morning.
Cody. Roseanne, you are so tan. You are still in Florida.
I am.
Yeah. How's the weather there, Roseanne?
Gorgeous. Every day this week.
Look at her.
74,
I know.
76.
I know.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been nice.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Good for you. Good for you. Let's see. We need
Roseanne, I was
6
in
for
your
a
old
quorum.
house on Stanwood
1,
Point.
2, 3.
Oh, you're in the old stomping
4,
grounds?
5.
Yeah.
We
Beautiful.
have 6 for a
What a
quorum.
view.
Barry cannot join us,
You can't, huh?
but we are up. We have the number for quorum, so we might as well start. And anybody who joins us, I'm sorry that Bob Quinn is not with us. Has anybody had any contact with him?
You had asked me to reach out to him and I tried to reach him several times. I think the best thing I need to do is just stop by to see him. I
Yeah,
haven't felt comfortable doing that because I haven't had my second shot.
Right.
But as soon as I do that, I'll stop by because he
cool.
only lives a mile away from.
Yeah, you could always leave a note in his mailbox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and how about Selma Bell? Anybody seen her?
I don't see her, but I talk to her every other day. So
Okay, so she's in good shape.
she's doing well. She's
Okay,
had
good.
both shots. She's out and about.
Okay, cool. Well, I'd like to open this meeting of the Gloucester Council on Aging. We are meeting remotely, and today is Tuesday, April the 6th, 2021, and it's about 9:30. Consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning gatherings of more than 25 people, this meeting will be conducted by remote participation to the greatest extent possible. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meetings in real time. Good morning, Elise. Could we begin by having a roll call for voice recognition, starting with Rosalie, please?
Good morning, Rosalina Castro.
Susan, you're on mute. Susan, you're on mute.
Susan Goodall.
Good. Val,
Val Gilman?
Roseanne,
Roseanne Cody.
Felicia.
Felicia Webb.
Good morning, Karen Carroll. Karen
Carol?
and Suzanne.
Present.
Thank you. Let's see. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of March the 2nd. I sent those around, late yesterday. Any additions, subtractions, or corrections? Yes, Val.
I have two things and I'm not able to approve these because I'm ex officio, but I
Yeah.
will just recommend that where you have quilt, I would suggest that we add COVID-19 memorial in front of quilt because I think that it's important to recognize what the purpose was of that quilt.
So you're speaking for the heading, correct?
Yes, just for the heading, just to add COVID-19 memorial
Fine.
in front of quilt.
Roseanne,
And
you're comfortable
also-
with that?
I think it's great. Sure.
Good, good. Any further changes?
And then also in the paragraph that the second paragraph on the director's report,
Yep,
it starts off with Chairperson Cowan.
yep.
At the bottom, the last sentence, it said, Ms. Godell volunteered to discuss this issue. It says with planning and development, and I believe we had discussed with community development, which was to talk to Jill Cahill and the
Okay.
Board of Health. That was and you were going to talk to the Board of Health, and Susan was going to talk to community development, which is Jill
Yep.
Cahill. So it just changed planning and development to community development.
Cool.
Susan, that you remember that as such, right?
Yep, that's the way it was.
Okay, great.
Any further
Good
changes?
catch.
Yeah, thank you, Val. Any further changes? Then can I have a motion, please, to accept the minutes of March the 2nd, 2021 as amended?
Motion to
moved.
accept.
Thank you, Roseanne. Is there a second?
Second.
Who offered the second? Who offered the second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Susan. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, we have to do roll call. Rosalie,
Aye.
Susan,
Aye.
Roseanne.
Aye.
Felicia
Yes.
and Suzanne.
Aye.
And I say aye. Thank you. It passes unanimously. Cool. This is my favorite time. What have you been up to? Can I start, please, with, let's start off with Suzanne. What's on your mind?
I haven't been up to much. I had a chat with Rosalie yesterday. Just talk about things in general. And I just want to say that if anyone needs help with anything, be more than willing to help. As far as going out in the world, I haven't had my second vaccine yet. But other than that, if anyone needs me, just let me know.
Cool. We thank you. That's very generous of you. Karen, you're on the agenda later on, but anything besides what's on the agenda that's on your mind?
COVID's always on my mind.
I know, that's
right?
why I'm giving you a shout
The
at something
never-ending
else. What's your
COVID and-
pumpkin pie recipe?
Yeah, what's my pumpkin pie recipe? Yeah, I wish we were chatting about that. Just to remind people that we are seeing that B11 strain. I mean, I think that's where we're at right now, that we're not different than the rest of the state. Really, the rest of the country is experiencing another wave. And we are seeing some higher numbers each day in our daily new case count, as well as we're now able to detect the B117 virus in the wastewater. And those of you who don't know, the B117 is a variant that was originally found in the UK, and it is here, and it's definitely the variant of concern that's taken hold in the United States in general, but here in Massachusetts and Gloucester, it tends to spread very quickly, tends to be very contagious. So we're seeing whole households get it. We're seeing a lot of younger people getting it, and we're seeing some hospitalizations this week. So, we're concerned. That's what we're watching. That's what's on our minds. And we're just encouraging people to get vaccinated when they can, and face covering, social distancing still until they can do that. So,
Does that, the new strain,
yeah.
does the vaccine we're receiving help with that as well?
Yes, it does. It still helps with again, the research is so new because these variants are spinning off. We don't know a lot, but they seem to be, it seems to be that the vaccines, all of them, are largely effective against all the strains, and they're at least reducing the symptoms with all the strains. So you may not, you may still get COVID or one of these newer strains, but you hopefully won't get it as severe and have as severe as either hospitalization or death. So, it's hard because they are so new, but definitely there seems to be protection with all of the vaccines against these newer strains. Now, should any of these other strains take hold that are even more virulent, we don't really know how well the vaccines will work. But what I can tell you is that one of the signs of a newer strain is what we call vaccine breakthrough. So it's when someone's fully vaccinated and they get COVID. One of the first things we ask is, could this be a newer strain that's breaking through the vaccine? And that has happened. I mean, it's happened here locally, it's happened statewide. So we are seeing these breakthrough cases, and then we refer them to the state. They'll do they'll look at the virus that the person had more closely to see what strain it is, what they're seeing. You don't really do anything clinically different for the new strains, so we don't know that, but that's the kind of information they're collecting to study to see how many times is a breakthrough COVID case related to a new strain or just a breakthrough. I mean, there will be people who are vaccinated who still get COVID, and that can happen. There's a 5% chance, but again, it reduces the chances of hospitalization or death. So that we know for this particular strain as well. Hope that answered your question.
Alicia, we are on mute. What's on your mind?
Everything is actually kind of quiet at Cater right now. I'm working on something that on-demand service, which is a massive project. So once that gets up and running,
Give me a bit of background on when you talk about an on-demand service. How do you mean as opposed to like the dial-a-ride or whatnot?
The dial-a-ride we run right now is traditional dial-a-ride. You call a couple of days ahead of time, you make your appointment over the phone with a person, they type you in, and then the van comes and picks you up.
Yeah.
The on-demand service, we tried to get it up and running last year. It got hit with COVID. It's more of a automated where you book it through your phone and it functions Uber and Lyft. Right now, the grant we got is targeted toward workforce, so that's where we're launching it to get it up and running. But the service is open for residents and visitors. So once it's running, anyone can use it.
Wow. What sort of demand do you expect?
Well, when I did the grant, all optimistic, 2 years ago,
Yes.
I was expecting, 30 people a day, so 60 round trips. I figured that would be pretty successful for a new service. Right now, I'm not sure what we're going to see. Salem launched one and they've had like 3,000 trips on it in 2 months. So I don't know what we're walking into. So it makes me a little nervous, but I hope we do get a lot of people because that means that it works. So we'll have to see.
Wow. Keep us posted. Roseanne, what's on your mind?
Yeah, very, very pleased with the quilt project. I thought it was even more impressive than I thought it was going to be. So that was wonderful. And things are just quiet right now.
Good. Val, what's on your mind?
Just busy, city council stuff, getting ready for budgets, and quite a few projects that I have right now, including getting the quarries and had this well-attended forum, and there's just lots going on. But I guess my concern with this group continues to be, making sure that every senior that needs a shot has been taken care of. And I know that there are many people that are trying to work hard to make sure that that is the case, and that they not fall through the cracks and become vulnerable because they don't have an advocate. So, I think, Karen, when you update us, if you can kind of maybe summarize some of those things, that's helpful information for me, because when I talk to my constituents, when this comes up, it's always a concern. I found a couple of little loopholes even when Paul and I signed up. We're both 63, and we signed up like 5 weeks ago through mass.gov, and we did everything right. Neither one of us have any pre-existing conditions, or, it was just a firm birthday. And on March 22nd, I got my prompt in the morning, bingo, grabbed the first thing I could grab, it disappeared, a new report. And then I got my next best was Revere Beach Parkway, and I grabbed it. My husband, as of Friday of that week, 5 days later, had never heard. And then you get kind of edgy, because it just seems like procedurally something does break down. And here we were like being diligent. And in that week, I tried to call like 5 different sources to try to find out is Paul still on the queue? Did we input the wrong birthday? What did we do wrong? I called our medical provider. And, so I'm like trying to navigate the system, and none of the numbers that are available were occupied by people. It was pretty frustrating. But finally on that Friday, he got the drop down, and he actually ended up being only 2 days behind. Actually, no, he ended up getting it a better site. He got the DoubleTree 2 days earlier than mine, and I'm the one that grabbed it. So, I think it's probably the residual of the governor's 3 different contractors or consultants try to help glue this system together, and maybe there were a couple of glitches, but kind of a long-winded answer, but those are the types of things that can make someone pretty edgy.
Val, do you think your calling made any difference in terms of when Paul got his appointment?
No.
Yeah, that's my sense too, that once you're in the electronic system, there's no way to get to it or adjust it.
Right. And he had more favorable options than I had, and I had it 5 days before.
Yeah.
So I know that it's new and everybody's trying to do the best thing, but that makes people really, really worried, because we're all consumed with getting our vaccinations. And
okay, well, we'll be talking more about the issue of COVID in the community and what not. Susan, something on your mind?
Nothing that's not on the agenda, so.
Fine. Rosalie, good morning.
Okay, in regards to the COVID,
Yeah.
I've had good luck in dialing 211, and I've told other people that also. They don't always answer the phone, but if you leave your name and number, they will call you back and they will help you get an appointment somewhere. So in that case, Val, where you got yours, you could have dialed 211, told them your situation, and you might have got some help. But I'm grateful. I'm glad that it all worked out for you. So the Seniors on the Go bus is doing fine. I have seniors calling me. They want to start the walking on the boulevard. So I think Jennifer and Felicia and I will be having a meeting soon, see when we can start our spring summer schedule. They love the mystery trip. We're going out on April 13th.
Don't tell
And
them.
I was waiting for April 1st to send out the flyer, but they called me and I have a full bus already, which is 9 people. So I have to find a way, some kind of lottery, so I don't have the same people all the time.
Yeah.
When they call me, I feel bad, and because they're anxious, they want to get on the bus, but I have to start some kind of lottery. So I can call people and say, your name came up. Do you want to come on the mystery bus? And right now we do the mystery bus on Tuesdays, the second Tuesday of the month. But that Tuesdays is their walk in the boulevard day, and they don't want to give that up. So that's another reason why I have to meet with Felicia and Jennifer. We might have the mystery trip on Mondays, like the first Monday of the month or something like that. So they love it, and it's very exciting. And so that's what we're doing on that. The other thing is we made up 500 information bags. Bank Gloucester gave us a big donation of bags, and the Institute of Savings did also. KPN Savings Bank, because of COVID, they don't have anything. It's a shame. And all because of COVID. So I filled the bags, and I gave, the bags have an exercise brochure, an information brochure, exercise information, and giveaways, and one of our schedules. And I gave some to all the Council on Aging's, Manchester, Essex, Rockport, and Gloucester. I gave some to the Gloucester Housing Authority. I'll be passing some out on the bus. A few people have asked me for more bags, so I'm working on that this week. I'm low on giveaways, so we ordered some giveaways of sanitizer and sunscreen. So as soon as I get those done, I'll be delivering more bags. But the seniors, everybody loves a giveaway, and they get a nice little bag with it too that they can reuse for groceries.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm busy with the Seniors on the Go bus.
First rate.
Thank you. Thank you.
My bet is after almost 9 years. My term as a trustee at the library is winding down. And May I'm choosing as my departure month. I have been fortunate in that other members of the Board of Trustees have stepped forward to assume my principal job, which is to chair the Building and Grounds Committee, which is, if I do say so, a busy place. And it requires a trustee member to be chair. And that changeover will be smoothly. So, and my focus therefore will be back here at the Council on Aging. That's really where I feel I belong for the foreseeable future. So, and I've told the mayor that, she thinks that's a good idea. So you'll be finding me more available than I will have been, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. We have a lot to do and I'm looking forward to it. Elise, besides anything, your chances to speak on the agenda, anything else that you'd like to speak about beforehand?
Just cheers to what you just said, Fred. Very happy about that, that we get you even more. And I myself lately am just feeling really heartened by the vaccine situation. I feel like everybody I talked to lately, they've got it. They've either had their first shot or both shots, or at the very least, they've got an appointment. So things seem great. That's a lot of kind of personal acquaintances and stuff like that. And professionally here at the senior center, the phone volume of people, making inquiries about the vaccine has really dropped off. So anecdotally, at least, it seems as if we've made some good penetration into the senior populations. But maybe Karen will have some numbers she can put to my anecdotal stuff. Yeah, but that's about it. Just really heartened by how many people just personally that I know that are getting it. It all seems like it's moving in a good direction. And to kind of put a bow on that, we've got the last, I think what's going to be the last clinic going on downstairs right now. We're doing second doses for the mini clinic that we were able to have with some of the vaccine that was left over from vaccinating the housing authority sites.
Yep.
And so a lot of activity down there right now. And just the rest of what's on my mind is definitely on that agenda.
It brings me this close to tears because I've been waiting to hear this kind of message for a year.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm fragile emotionally. You all know this. I get leaky, easily. But honestly, just listen to that.
Yeah.
Rosalie, prayer works.
Amen.
Wow. Take me a minute. Here. Oh, goodness. Okay. Get my bearings back. Karen sees me do this all the time. That's why I'm on the Board of Health too, I pay to do that job. You mustn't tell anybody that. Goodness. Okay. I'd hoped, I should say, I went to see the mayor. I always go to see the mayor when I have an idea that has any city implications before actually getting into the weeds of the process or getting official permission from, in this case, it would be Karen. I wanted to go see the mayor on issues about reopening and things of that nature. Basically, she's in a yes mood. The mayor is, all of it with guidelines that are totally understandable. But the things that I've been talking to her about were yes, with the very stark exception of having outdoor dining. So yes, I did know about that. But I thought that if Jill Cahill had been asked, we could certainly have a chance to ask her about her job. She's a new person in the city and whatnot. But she's not here today, so we cannot do that. But Val, you might fill us in what Jill Cahill does for the city and how we might work cooperatively with her.
Great. So Jill did connect with me today, and I basically told her that the mayor had thought that it wasn't the time to do the outdoor dining. So I didn't tell her that she needed to come. So
no, it was a totally open invitation anyway.
Right, exactly. So Jill is in charge of community development. She's our community development director.
Yes.
And she oversees planning and, you know, the economic matters in the city that might require zoning, like when we stay opened for outdoor dining downtown. It was Jill that came to city council to
Okay.
ask us to permit that, you know, to make the exceptions because of COVID to allow for outdoor dining. She's very proactive, and she really has high aspirations for the city of Gloucester. So
Where is her office?
her office is at Pond Road,
Okay.
right near Karen, right, Karen?
How does her job compare with Sal DiStefano?
I think they're equals, Karen, correct? Are they at the same level on the org chart? No? Okay.
My understanding is Sal for business outreach works under Jill and is part of the community development department.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. Unless he's some kind of separate appointment. He's within the community development department, and she is the director of community development.
That
Yeah.
puts the on it. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, if you would extend an open invitation for her to come, she may find aspects of the Council on Aging that she didn't know about, and our willingness also to grow. People like Roseanne around. Growth is sort of our middle name, and there's a lot for us to do, and working cooperatively within the city would be a real plus.
Yeah, I'd love to, I'm sure Jill would love to be on a call, and
Mhm.
I think I think she would find it refreshing to have a little collaboration with this team.
Well, that's
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I think so too. I think it would be great to have the groups connect. And I know we've been trying to do more with public health and community development, and there's been some grants around safe streets to school and all that. You know, a lot of those programs overlap. Certainly Rosalie's program, the Mass in Motion, is really important for Jill to know with community development, the kind of work we're doing. So they sometimes have grants as well that they're working on. So it is a nice synergy. And I think you would all enjoy meeting Jill, and she would love to hear all the things that we're doing as well.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Great,
there's a lot
thank
of
you.
talent going around this year here. Moving then into the issue of COVID-19 update. Karen, you've already given us a pretty fair overview. Could pick it up from there if you would, please, then we can talk about Rosie's Cafe.
Yeah, I think the main thing I want to pick up on is just what, I forget who said it, Elise was talking about the rates, and that she really feels that she's hearing from seniors in our community that they're accessing the vaccine, which is fantastic. So each week the state puts out, they have a lot of dashboards, and it's hard to like find your way through the mass.gov data sets. But there are a couple of reports they do each week on vaccine. And they break it out by all kinds of first doses, second doses, age, sex, race, ethnicity, because one of their goals is to make sure that the people hardest hit by COVID are getting access in their communities to the vaccine. So it's really interesting, and they have on their main dashboard all of these beautiful graphs showing, you know, how many Hispanic people were vaccinated versus how many were hurt by the pandemic, how many cases in that category. So you can really kind of see the age groups. But then they have this dump of data. It's a massive spreadsheet. It's hard, again, to find your way around. But each week they report on each town. So for Gloucester, we can sort and pull out our data. It's broken out by age group. And the first week they reported, that was last 2 weeks ago, we were at 32% of our entire population was vaccinated. Now, that includes kids. So, you know, there's 28,000 people roughly in Gloucester. And so there were 31% last week. As of this week, it was 41% of that entire 28,000. So that's well above the state average, which is now about 30% of the state is vaccinated. And this is fantastic. You know, we're really continuing to do great. We have a man at the wheel, like graphic we're using to show the community where we're up to, and you watch it fill up. And so it becomes a shared common goal and a positive thing, not a, you know, getting into the negatives around who didn't get vaccinated. I think the really exciting thing to answer Elise's question is that within the category of 75 and over in Gloucester, we have vaccinated, as of last Thursday, 83% of those people, which is fantastic. So I'm really thrilled about that. And for the age, the next age group down, 65 to 74, we've vaccinated 78% of that population. Again, those are our highest risk populations. Those were the folks that were hit the worst by COVID last spring in terms of hospitalization and death. So that's where we want to see that progress. We want 100% of those folks vaccinated that want to be. And when I say vaccinated, I'm referring to a first dose was given. So they're not fully vaccinated, but all the statistics I just gave you are based on that same first dose given. So that's how the state likes to report it. So we're being consistent with that so we can compare ourselves to everyone else and the state. And yeah, I mean, I think the other thing that hasn't even happened yet is the homebound program. So there is a state-run homebound vaccination program that I know Elise and Kelly in our department have been promoting. There is a hotline. The state will come in with a team of vaccinators, probably one of the ambulance companies they contract with, and they'll be going door to door vaccinating anyone who met the criteria for homebound. And then there was also a number there that if you didn't meet that criteria for homebound, but you still were unable to get out to get your vaccine, there was someone at the state that would help you connect to a vaccine. And again, we have all the supports locally to transport people to the vaccine if that's the barrier, if the ride is the barrier. Thanks to Felicia and all of senior care, seniors, all our programs. So, you know, that's the number. We want to see that 83 be as high as possible. But at this point in the game, I think that's a very, very high number. And it's a very good sign that we have that many folks in those older age groups vaccinated. So we'll keep reporting on that and getting that information out there. But thank you to all of you and the work you've done to make sure this group is reached. Everyone who needs it is getting it. I think, as Elise said, the final senior housing clinics were last week and this week. And yeah, and the homebound program will be sometime in the next few weeks, I believe. So, I mean, if there's other specific questions about COVID vaccines, testing, schools, let me know. But otherwise, I don't want to, you know, go on and on about what you already know.
Karen, can I, first of all, I just want to say that I just let everybody know that I've heard a great review. We had one person that we gave the homebound hotline number to. They were so excited by how great their experience was. They called us back to say, just to give a good review. For the
that's good to know.
Hotline. So, you know, people usually call back to say like nice things about their, so that was really good. And then I just wondered, speaking, you know, of that 83%, which is fantastic, but do you have any idea, just from your background and your expertise in public health and kind of in your ability to looking at the big, you know, the macro picture of that remaining 17%, I'm thinking a good amount of that, a certain amount of that is going to be people that don't want it. But do you have any way of estimating like how much of that is that people that we still need to find or help? I know that the people that are calling us here and there, we're still getting a phone call from someone who's 75 plus, and I've been going right to Leahy with them, and Leahy's getting them really.
Yeah.
Deb Sacco's been amazing. So that's
he is fantastic. Good.
Right. If they can find any way to make that person eligible for Leahy, like they're looking back, and if there's any if they're in their system at all, they're hooking them up. But I'm just kind of wondering, do you see any? I mean, I'm going to continue to, you know, communicate about it. It's going to be in the news, the hard copy newsletter, the emailed newsletters, still saying, you know, if you're 75 plus, call us right away. And then I'm telling people if they're 65 plus, to reach out to either the senior care vaccine support team, or now I'm going to be promoting the MRC partnership with the people from the from that, you know, that are helping people schedule through that mechanism. But I don't know. Do you have any idea, like, of that 17% in that category? Do you think that's mostly people that don't want it?
No, I think we've got a fair number of homebound as well that
Okay.
will access it that way.
Okay.
It's hard to know. So vaccine hesitancy is a thing, and it's there's always vaccine hesitancy in communities for different reasons. There's kind of these 3 C's, and we're working through them. One is confidence, so people need to feel confident with the vaccine. So that's about getting information out there, connecting people to resources on CDC, explaining that the vaccine was tested. The next is so confidence. I forget the second C, and the third, though, is the one we work with the most, is convenient. So it needs to be convenient for people. It needs to be the easy choice. It needs to be, somebody they can't miss a day of work or pay or be worried if they be asked for ID. So all those barriers are really where we're working closely with all of you. We have the hotlines in different languages, where we did a call yesterday with all of the restaurant businesses in town, which was fantastic, to help them make sure their workers have the time off they need to go. If they're getting their second dose, maybe don't schedule them that day, and try not to penalize people for getting, because if they're vaccinated, it will help the business. So that's where we're going with that.
Yeah,
Fred, did you want to?
they say the vaccine is free, but for somebody who's an hourly wage person, it is not free.
Exactly. That's a great point. And we're trying to ask businesses to support their workers and not penalize them if they need to miss a little time to get it, or, so they don't miss a shift. And I mean, these are the very real issues that people don't want to deal with. So we're working closely with businesses. We'll do the same outreach for the wider community. And it's very hard to know for sure. And there'll always be a percentage of people that choose not to get vaccinated. And there's also a lot of people that want to wait. They want to let it settle and see how other people do. And that's okay too. It's that readiness as people get more comfortable, have the facts, understand the risk, and I think that's the third C, is the relative risk. I forget what the C is, but it's about a perceived risk. Some word that connects to that starts with C. It's your perceived risk. And a lot of people, like with the flu, they don't perceive it's a big deal. They have this bias against the illness or the risk. So part of it is understanding and making sure people understand the real risk. Who is at risk? What can happen if you get the flu? And you're in one of these high risk categories. But in terms of seniors and outreach, I think that our senior agencies, our long-term care, remember, our very highest risk people are in our long-term care facilities. So that's where 75% of the deaths happened. That is our very highest risk. And those people are very well protected. We have not had a case or a death or a hospitalization in a very long time in those facilities. So those facilities, yes, in 6 months have really changed the way they operate, their infection control protocols, in response to this new pandemic that they didn't have to deal with before. And so they're in really good shape. And those people are, I believe, pretty much 100% vaccinated. And most of the staff are vaccinated there. So, those areas of highest risk have really we're closer to the 100% than the 83% in those high risk facilities. So same thing with homebound and senior housing. Those are higher risks, and working really closely with the housing authority, who's done a lot of education, outreach, support to their residents as we were coming through offering the vaccine. They were removing all barriers. If you don't speak the language, we'll have someone help you. If you have questions, we'll have someone answer them. If you don't want to go anywhere, you can sit in your door and we're going to bring people to you. So I would guess, and we'll find out from Dave Holden that percentage, but I would guess in our senior housing, we had a pretty high percentage of takers as well being vaccinated. Certainly if they wanted it, they were able to get it. Even we had one person go into the hospital between shot 1 and 2, and we found them. You know, we're gonna make sure that anyone living there that wants it is gonna get it. So
Nice.
yeah, it's a really good question though, is how much can we drill down and understand who at risk is not getting the vaccine and why, and how can we support them if they want to get it, right? We're not going to make anybody or shame people. And there's a lot of people for different reasons just aren't going to do it or aren't comfortable or aren't ready. And that's okay. We want to focus on those of us that can and will get it. And that will get our community where we need to be to protect those most at risk.
I tend to have
Thank you, Karen.
I tend to have kind of sort of conversations with myself about COVID and what's next and how to come forward. And in my own experience, I went to Cruiseport to have my shots through the Conley's program. The first one, I got a sticker that said I was number 130, and it went. I put it into my date book as a marker for the first, and I had my second appointment there. There was no celebration from my getting my second shot. Nobody gave me anything in the way of a takeaway. They watched me for 15 minutes to see if I keeled over, and because I didn't, that was it. I want us to celebrate when we are vaccinated. I want us to have a feeling that that we can move forward, that we can start to reemerge, that we can show some benefit. So Karen, I asked you this specifically because if this is something that is a good idea and you can give a nod on, I'll think further, but if it's premature or too much of an outlier, I need to hear that so that I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. And that is for us to make something like a lapel pin with a V on it, such that people who have been vaccinated can wear it as an ornament. And if they're seen without a mask, they can point to it. They can signal to each other that I've been vaccinated. And if I think in terms of reopening Rosie's Cafe with all of the various different guidelines, if there could be some sense of the reasonableness of people sitting closer to each other and having more intimate conversations as they used to, because they're all wearing their pins and have all been vaccinated, with a sense of fraternity, and maybe to incentivize subtly other people who have not vaccinated as yet to see two people walking, chatting with each other, both wearing those lapel pins. Is that something that we as a community might entertain?
It's a great question. So it's a little bit loaded answer. Yeah, and I would expect nothing less. I love your questions. They're really, you're really thoughtful about this. I would say a couple things. I would say that in general, celebrating and recognizing and exposure, having visual people out there or vaccination heroes, you know, and superstars getting vaccinated, the more visibility it does show in public health to change behavior, that people want to be part of a group, especially if it's someone they admire and look up to. It does influence behavior, and things like a collective, you know, watching the number go up on the wheel. Yeah. It makes people feel like I'm part of something positive and I'm going to sort of join that. There's a lot of studies around that. It's called norming. And if you norm vaccinations and you make it the norm and what people are doing, then it's a good thing. More people will come along. I think one of the things that happened in this COVID is it became political, and there was some norming around not getting vaccinated or not getting tested or not acknowledging the disease. So the norming is great if it can move to a message of lots of people are doing it, even selecting and promoting people up. But again, what you don't want to do on the other side is make it shame or embarrass or, you know, cause someone to, you know, be singled out. So we don't want it to be a scarlet letter if you don't have a V and you're sitting at lunch and everybody's, going away. Like, so it's just a sensitivity to those things, because some people will forget their PIN that day, or some people will maybe not want to wear a PIN or not want to get vaccinated. So, yeah, but in general, I think incentives are great. It's one of the things we talked about yesterday with businesses, that incentivize your employees by giving them the time off if they need to each year to get their flu shot, to take care of their health, to get a COVID shot. And that's a great incentive that businesses can do. Just don't make them lose pay. That's a incentive enough.
Yeah.
There was one state, or I think Krispy Kreme is doing it everywhere. You can get free donuts if you get vaccinated. You can go and get free donuts at Krispy Kreme. So yeah, I mean, positive incentives and campaigns like that are definitely okay, and part of that norming of this is what people are doing to protect each other, and this is the kind of community we are. And
So,
yeah.
So Elise can be part of this initiative in discussion if I have a mock model made up for us to.
Yeah, there are stickers that you can download from the CDC, and we have them, but ironically, we're not able to give out any more vaccines. So the sticker project we didn't pull it off in our first rounds of vaccines, but I know that some clinics did and some pharmacies, and that's great. It's kind of like I voted, those things where it celebrates.
Well, that's what I have in my book, but only for the first shot. For the second shot, just nobody went hooray, and I missed that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hooray!
Yeah, and Fred, if I may offer, and I don't know if this is just me, or if this is something that can be kind of extrapolated to the larger like human behavior or whatever. But I know that when there was so much angst around people trying to get a vaccine appointment and they couldn't, and there were more people that were still in a state of angst who wanted that vaccine really badly. They were calling me, and I was hearing from them, and I was hearing them cry sometimes, and it was it was really difficult. And I think that we needed to get to a tipping point where more people had it and felt celebratory, because while there was still a lot of angst and a lot of people who were trying to get it and couldn't, I know for me, I wasn't going to sit there and go, yay, I'm vaccinated, when the person next to me is crying and going, when is it my turn? I want, you don't want to do that to another human being. You don't want to be celebratory when they're still like really freaking out over the fact that they haven't gotten it yet. So now that we've reached kind of a critical mass with the numbers that you just threw out there, Karen, I think that now is the time, Fred. And when we get to my director's report and we get to some other items a little further on the agenda, I want to address that. I want to address things that I now feel like, because we are at 83%, of that, we have the numbers that we have. I think that it's a little safer now, and I think maybe more socially acceptable. And just as a human being, we can all feel a little bit better about being celebratory about being vaccinated. There aren't so many people who are still just wanting to cry because they couldn't get an appointment, So I think there was an element of that. Maybe a month ago, a couple weeks ago, whatever, but we're coming out of that because the numbers are getting so much better. So now is the time to let's all do those collective hoorays, Yep.
Karen, and also as a segue for that, again, it's a subject that I want to reflect off of you before I speak to anybody further. I've spoken to the mayor about the possibility of slowly reopening Rosie's and congregate meal and whatnot. She thinks it's a terrific idea, but tells me to speak to you. And this is before I've spoken to Open Door or anything of that nature. Is there a set protocol that we could rely on to allow us an increasing percentage of numbers of people to work up to the numbers that we used to serve for a free lunch as we had in our meals program?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, restaurants are allowed, there's no capacity cap. It's based on the ability to keep parties 6 feet apart.
Right, but now
and so
been vaccinated, can we resume with people who've been vaccinated with the normal seating systems that we used to have?
Not yet.
So all of our household of one or household of one or two, like technically those household of one people all need to stay 6 feet away from each other here in the cafe?
Well, yeah, basically, I mean, if you're going to a private home, there's some exceptions. If you're vaccinated, you can go into a house and have dinner inside without a mask with people and one other family that hasn't been vaccinated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. The restaurant guidelines haven't really caught up with the COVID vaccine guidelines that say if you're vaccinated, you can be indoors with other vaccinated people. So that's something that probably will come, but I will check with Brian. I mean, my understanding at this point is that you don't really know who's vaccinated and who's not, and you don't know if they're fully vaccinated. So someone might come and say, yep, I'm vaccinated. I can sit at table 2 next to table 3, but you don't really know for sure if they're vaccinated. You don't know if they've had their full vaccination and been 2 weeks post-vaccination. So I think for businesses, that's why they haven't adjusted those guidelines, because it's very hard to know for sure who's been vaccinated. Same thing with the workplace. I think we're still stuck in like a workplace where you still have to wear your mask at work, even if, all the workplace rules are the same, because we don't yet have guidance on that. You don't know for sure who's been vaccinated and who hasn't. You also might run into problems of half the staff wearing masks and the other not. So the guidance for restaurants and workplaces just hasn't been updated yet. So unless I missed something, and I will check with Brian, but I don't think so. I think it's that restaurants still have to adhere to a 6 feet between tables,
Okay.
unless it's a party of people who are related. If they're family, they can.
Right.
But
And then
let me look into that.
people were playing kind of fast and loose with that party of people that are related at a table thing too. In my experience throughout this whole thing, people that maybe had formed a bubble, or what they were, a pod, right? They were calling themselves a pod, but I saw some pretty permeable boundaries on some of those pods. But it's everybody's individual risk tolerance. But I mean, for us here, because we are the senior center, we can't play fast. In my perception is that we cannot play fast and loose with those rules. If you are a household of one, then technically, and if you're in this building, you really need to be 6 feet away from people. But I mean, maybe we can maybe figure out, we'll talk some more about it, Fred, obviously, but there's got to be ways that we can still accommodate those folks and allow for some conversation to be yelled across a 6 foot table. I don't know. It's just being back in the building, I think, is going to do people's hearts good. And it'll be a bummer to have to still have some of the guidance in place. But maybe by then, the guidance will change. By the time we've got to the open door and have the rest of our ducks in a row, and maybe the guidance will allow for some things to look a little more like they used to look.
Okay, but with the collective group that are here today, is there any strong feeling against my speaking to Julie to at least try and see if I can re-energize the interest in providing a congregate meal, as it was in the palm of our hand, literally before COVID came, that Open Door was going to be the food source for our lunch and no longer the senior cares caterer. I'd like to re-energize that starting with 1 day a week without objection from any of the members that are here today. Is that an okay thing for me to do?
Love it.
Okay, then I will. But you see, this is why we're benefit by having Karen on this board, because we don't get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
And that's helpful.
Right.
And also,
How did we lose Roseanne? Did we?
Where's Sue Roseanne?
She might have had something to do.
Oh,
Oh,
And Felicia also.
Jan. Okay.
Felicia, we lost visually, but I think she's still there. But do we? Well, we'll see. I don't know if we need to vote on anything anyway, but if.
We're only 5. We've lost the quorum. 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Are we gonna vote on anything? I'll call Roseanne if we need her.
I don't have anything to vote on. No, this, I just,
Right.
it's the will of the board. Oh, I do that Board of Health all the time. Will of the board. Yes, Val.
Fred, although I'm not a voting member, my only concern with what you're talking about is that we're different than restaurants because we're a publicly owned, city-owned facility. So I guess that makes it a little bit more technical for me from my lens. And even
That was
though
the mayor's point as well.
I love the purpose of what you said, and I agree with you in terms of the importance of doing this, but the risk that I see is a little bit different for us. And I think it's important to kind of stay in lockstep with how the city is moving forward on different matters regarding city staff.
Yes.
And not try to run ahead because we're part of a city building, I guess.
Absolutely. No, and that's why this, the filter for us is Karen, because she's incident commander.
And I think it can go both ways. I mean, we have to be extra careful to follow the rules because we're the city, but also we are the Board of, Fred is the Board of Health, and we can find, as we occasionally do with the schools, there hasn't been a lot, but there might be this spring, we can take the guidance, it's just guidance. And if our team, and probably even talking to EPIs at the state, like we would really do this very, very carefully. But if our team and your team wanted to propose that we have some kind of congregate meal or some event, we can look at it as a board, and the board can always do things locally. So there is this authority, if used very, very carefully. And as I said, we haven't done it yet. We have stayed lock, stock, and barrel with the state's guidelines for because it's just easier, and their guidelines have been good, they've been strong. But our team and your team, we can maybe look at the guidelines, look at, there's a couple of things this might fall into. It could fall into the gatherings order, fall into restaurants and cafes, outdoor dining. It can fall into a workplace a little bit too for the staff. So we would look at the sets of guidelines. And again, what we're looking for is to make sure people are safe. The guidelines aside, if we can find a way to bring people together in a congregate way that meets what's important to you guys about this event and keep people safe, then we can certainly put a proposal forward. But I will have a look, and we actually have a call with the state today too. So, people are starting to ask more and more questions about what can vaccinated people do.
Right.
And I think it's going to be more and more just on people to, okay, I'm vaccinated, I'm safe to go out to dinner, I'm safe to. So I think we'll see, more and more of that. But the question always is, how do you protect the others that may not be vaccinated there? Or so I will look into it now that I kind of know where you want to go.
Good.
And we'll see what we can figure out.
Right, and another element to add here is that from our special events approvals in Gloucester, we have been approving essential special events, and essential is defined as offering meals to folks that are in need. So our farmers markets are being permitted. It's the only exception to special events. So that in itself gives us that little extra angle of something that is permissible. But I like the fact of bringing that back to the council, the Board of Health for conversation. And, I think we're all on the same page as far as that goes. So thank you.
Before we move on, any further questions for Karen?
I have one more.
Yes,
I'm
please.
sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Go ahead.
So my question, Karen, is there a website, if someone in the community is on the fence about the shots, is there a website that you could refer us to where they could get some very non-political neutral data on the shots, just so I can offer that to people that might be on the fence as they see these numbers going up. Maybe they're starting to think, oh, maybe I should get a shot. But if they're on the fence, I might have an opportunity to influence them if I could steer them to some objective data.
For sure. That's a great question. And I will send to you, I think what I'll do is send the presentation, the PowerPoint we did yesterday for the businesses, because right in the PowerPoint is embedded the links to, if you're looking for the clinical trial information on vaccines, click here. If you're looking to understand, the greater risks. So there are some great references there. CDC, who maybe NIH is the other one. And there's a lot of good information there. So that would be fantastic. And that's a good reminder. What I could do is send it to certainly this group and maybe to the city councilors as well, because you guys are talking to constituents. So you could post whatever part of it you wanted to on your websites. Okay, thank you. Great idea.
This is an open source?
Yeah, it's a PowerPoint that we developed, and it's just full of information and hotlines, and it was aimed at the restaurant industry, but I don't really think there's too much in there that wouldn't, that would apply just to restaurants. So you can take it and pick what you want. Thanks, Val. It's a great suggestion.
To boards of health in the western part of the state where Dick and I have spent a lot of our time. And I have a friend who chairs the Charlemont Board of Health. So may I send that out to him?
Oh, sure.
Cool.
Yeah, anything.
Okay.
Karen, this isn't a question, but I have just a comment. Karen, the longstanding discussion we've had about getting you on an episode of Unleash the Power of Age, Jennifer would really still love to do that really as quickly as possible. I was the holdup on that because I couldn't figure out how to view your calendar. You had said to me, like, look and find an open spot, and I only just figured out how to do that. So, so now that I can see your calendar, I will find a couple spots, propose them to you, and hopefully we can set that up. I'll send you an email with the general broad topics that Jennifer thought maybe you could discuss. But I think right now with the vaccine rollout and all these questions of what can you and can't you do, I think you will be the most fantastic guest for an episode of Unleash the Power. So I'll look on your calendar and try to see what we can work out.
Cool.
Great. Thanks.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, moving on. Old business. Susan, you're on.
Okay, well, Barry sent out this morning very early what I am hoping is the last draft of the resource directory.
Number 7.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it, but
I
I
have.
feel very confident that it's ready to go to the next stage. And it's too bad he's not here because he's put in so much work and had so much patience with all the comments and changes that different people have made. So it's now up to Elise to move it on to the next stage, and then we can get it posted, and I'll be happy to help in any way with that I can.
Okay.
Awesome.
When Rosalie comes back, we now have a quorum.
I'm here.
So
Cool.
I'd like to make a motion that we send iteration number 7 to Elise for forwarding to the mayor's office to get a just general sense of approval before that text is posted on the webpage. Did I phrase that right, Susan?
Yes,
All right, that's my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Who was that, please?
Me, Susan.
Susan, thank you. Is there any further discussion? Elise, would you do the roll call, please?
Rosalie, how do you vote?
Yay. Yes.
And Susan, you seconded it. Suzanne, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, and Felicia, how about you?
Yes.
Okay, and Fred, you made the motion. Susan, you seconded it. No one else can vote. So I think that the ayes have it.
Thank you. Cool. So we'll forward that on. Did he send that copy to you, Elise, or do you need me to send it?
Yes, I haven't had a chance. I only just briefly kind of registered that the email was there, but I didn't really look at it yet, but
That is called progress. And
Yeah.
Susan, your committee's done fabulous work. Really.
yes, great
Thank you,
job. I
thank you,
know,
thank you.
Susan and Barry. Woo-hoo.
Will be done.
Nice job.
Well, you just have you attract the right people to your committee. How's that? Oh,
Barry was
this is
amazing.
a collective group. This is marvelous.
Enough.
Now, we've been talking about doing this since Plan 2000. Honestly,
Right?
20 years. 20 years in the doing. So
We want to put that up.
I'm going to get leaky again. Come on, I have to keep moving. This is wonderful. Really cool. Okay, let's see. A partnership with 1623 Studios and the Virtual Senior Center. Elise, anything progress to speak about?
Yeah, so the Virtual Senior Center, we just had a great event on baseball opening day. We had some baseball themed music and we paired that with the hot dog and Cracker Jack grab and go lunch. And we distributed about 37 of those with the grab and go. And the seniors could then go home and watch a little baseball themed entertainment right before the Red Sox game got rained out on the first. But that was fun. And we're busy right now trying to focus on getting some exercise content recorded. And Jennifer Lee has the equipment from 1623 that she had wanted to get that you helped out with, Fred. So she's got that now, and she's working with a Tai Chi instructor, and we're working with somebody who might do some hip hop seniors instruction. And the theme for May for Older Americans Month is Communities of Strength. So we're going to try to tie in some of these exercise opportunities with that theme for May, but we're hoping to actually have those uploaded and onto the Virtual Senior Center by April. There had been some discussion with the various COAs here on Cape Ann with, reopening, with whether or not we wanted to still be devoting a lot of resources to the Virtual Senior Center. And it was unanimous that yes, we do. Everybody, all the COA directors see a huge benefit still in maintaining the Virtual Senior Center, not only through this transitionary phase where we kind of don't know what is and isn't allowed with the vaccines and stuff, but also going forward to just offer that as a way that people in the community can get used to the senior center without actually being here. And maybe it'll create a little feeder system to get more people to feel comfortable coming down here to the senior center. So, so we've got some good stuff, going on with that, and some more stuff planned for May. So the Virtual Senior Center is still happening, and the collaboration is just getting easier and easier.
Good. If I might have a single tight paragraph that I could offer 1623 to be put into their newsletter, we might get more publicity for the use of Channel 67.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you. And anyone else who has suggestions for things to go on Channel 67, please feel comfortable to channel them to me, which I will then work with Elise on, and also the people at 1623, because as you remember, I'm a director there as well.
Great.
Should we segue then into your director's report, Elise?
Yes, please. That's a great segue. So, so that is all happening, and we're making some plans for the fact that May is Older Americans Month. We're going to be recording some more music. We have a little 3-piece musical ensemble of people who have been vaccinated that we are going to record, and we're going to get some special music up there. Let's see. Well, let me kind of back up and talk about April a little bit before we get into May too much. The mobile market, the Open Doors mobile market that used to come here once a month is resuming. That is happening on April 22nd. The mobile market will be back. My understanding is that the way it used to work was that they brought like produce out and put it on tables for people to take. And it's not going to be able to happen that way. It's going to be, pre-packed, grab and go, but it is going to be fresh produce being distributed and some dry goods as well, if the seniors, want to take the dry goods as well. So that's resuming on the 22nd. We're pretty excited about that. Been talking a lot with Open Door about other collaborations. So that's a nice lead into the fact that one of the things that we're going to be doing for May for Older Americans Month is that the Open Door is going to be providing some kind of special meal once a week. That's going to be a grab and go meal, but we talked about things that have that kind of special, almost like a holiday meal kind of connotation, like a roast beef dinner or a baked ham or a baked haddock, or just something that feels kind of special. So they're going to be doing that for us once a week for the month of May. We're going to be handling the signups for that, and we're going to be distributing those grab and go style, which is going to be awesome, I think. Did you have a comment, Karen, or are you waving goodbye?
No, I'm waving goodbye. I have to jump off for another call. I didn't want to interrupt. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for being
Bless
here.
your heart.
Bye, Karen.
Elise, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's April 22nd, the Mobile Mart. That's
Yep.
on a Thursday. So will that be every Thursday?
Yes, I think it is going to be a Thursday once a month. It's going to be a once a month happening, and it'll be on a Thursday. Yes.
And how will you know how many seniors are going to come to the to get a bag?
It's going to be by sign up. So they're gonna
Okay.
call us and they're gonna sign up, and then we'll let the open door know how many bags to get ready.
So if my bus wanted to participate in that, could we?
Absolutely, would love to have the bus participate.
Okay.
Yeah, you
But
and I can figure out the details, Rosalie, but that
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
great.
I'll talk with Jennifer and I'll get back to you. The only thing is, if it's going to be every Thursday, if it's just a one-time thing, that's
Once a
different.
month. It's Thursday once a month. So I think the 22nd is maybe the third
It's a
Thursday. So
Thursday.
it'll be a Thursday towards the end of the month, once a month.
All right,
That's,
okay,
that actually is the fourth Thursday.
yeah,
So maybe it'll be the fourth Thursday of the
Okay.
month, or,
Yeah.
but we'll announce it every month in the newsletter, and it'll be towards the end of the month so that it can get announced in the newsletter and people will still have time to sign up. So I would say that we probably will stick with the fourth Thursday for the most part, but every now and then we might want to back it up to the third, just depending on how the calendar works out with that. But it is going to be a once a month occurrence. It's the special meals that are going to be part of May's Older Americans Month celebration. Those are going to be once a week, but just for the duration of May. That's for, like I said, to celebrate Older Americans Month. And then another big thing that I want to do, and this is talking about your kind of lingering wish that we could be more celebratory about kind of where we're at with vaccine status and with all of it really, Fred, is we want to do another gift bag distribution. I mean, those were really popular. We did it for Halloween and we did it around the Christmas holiday, the winter holidays, and everybody really seemed to love it. So we want to do another one, a big one. We
Yep.
want to include a nice spring themed mask in there to reinforce the messaging that these things are not going away, even though we've been vaccinated. You still are going to continue to need to have a mask. So here's a nice pretty one. That's maybe some spring colors or whatever. So we'll do that. We'll do some information about what you can and can't do now that you're vaccinated. We'll do some stuff that's celebratory. Maybe we could have the pins done by then, Fred, and get your vaccine pin in there, but we'd have to ask folks when we register them for the bag, do you have your vaccination? And we'll put the pins in those bags. But we'll work all of that out. But we really do want to have a nice, robust gift bag. It's something very celebratory. And I think that I'm going to reach out, I'm going to reach out to Plum Cove School, who had done such a great job for us on Christmas cards for the seniors. They did holiday cards that went into each of the gift bags, and I know that the seniors loved those. So I think if I talk to the teachers over there and ask if they can please ask the kids to maybe do some cards that say something about seniors being awesome, or that somehow say something celebratory.
Truthful.
What?
Said
Exactly.
something truthful.
Something truthful about how awesome seniors are. That would be really fun if we could get something made by a child's hand into each one of those gift bags.
Mixing generations.
Yes,
Very important.
absolutely. And that'll get some awareness for the kids too, that there's such a thing as Older Americans Month, that we take some time to celebrate older Americans.
Very good.
And I think that theme of communities of strength is perfect for this year, for the community that we're in. There's lots of different things that we can do with that communities of strength theme, I think, which is why we, one of those directions is exercise. We want to try to work with Seniors on the Go bus, Rosalie. I didn't realize that you had resumed the Boulevard walks, but maybe we can talk about some theme-wise that we can tie in, whatever exercise related things that are happening with Seniors on the Go with that communities of strength theme. So I think that gift bag distribution right now, I've kind of got it earmarked for sometime around the third week in May. Again, we've got to give people plenty of time to sign up for it. Also in May, we're going to be launching a collaboration. There's a woman that was introduced to me through Senior Care. Her name is Therese, and she has been doing a ton. She's a researcher with Northeastern, and she's got a ton of data on exercises to increase your brain exercises. And she's put a program in place with Northeastern students where they will match up with a senior. They've all been Corey checked and thoroughly vetted to be safe people for seniors to talk to. But they're matching up these students with seniors who will make phone calls at whatever intervals the seniors want, you know what I mean? But they'll get on the phone with them and either just discuss a topic that senior wants to talk about, or maybe do some brain games, do some Sudoku, or some of the other things that they have actual data that shows can help increase brain maybe some brain elasticity or whatever. So, so we're looking into that. We're gonna kind of launch that with an episode of Unleash the Power of Age, talking to Therese, the woman running it, and she'll tell everybody about it, and we'll put in place the mechanism, you know, for people to sign up for that. And we're hoping to get that launched in May as part of Older Americans Month as well. Let's see, the new phones are awesome. We do have new phones here at the Senior Center for anybody that wants to take down our new phone number. It's 978-325-5800, and that's the new main number. And then that will get you a menu that tells you press 1 for this, press 2 for that. And that menu actually makes sense now. It's got an auto attendant that picks up
That's
and
novel.
directs people's calls. So the phone is just much more manageable now. It's really just night and day.
Elise, can you repeat the number, please?
Yeah, it's 978-325-5800.
Nice, easy.
The
And again,
old
if you-
number still works. The old
And again,
number,
if you get a chance to, you want to thank Michael Hale and also, what's the nice guy? at IT?
Ryan in IT. Ryan's
Ryan.
been fantastic in IT, and Michael Hale did a lot to make it happen too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've already thanked them
interrupt
both
you. Go ahead.
profusely.
Go ahead.
So the phones are going well, and also the tax program is happening right now over at the library. It continues. It got extended when the tax deadline got extended. Our AARP volunteers that do that gave us a few more weeks of that program as well. So that collaboration with the library and with those longstanding volunteers from AARP is going very well over at the library, helping seniors get their taxes done. And Rosalie, if you could give me the April newsletter, which was late, the May newsletter, it sounds odd that it's the beginning of April, and I'm already thinking about the May newsletter, but because of Older Americans Month, I want to make sure that the May newsletter hits households like April 30th, you know, so that people have plenty of time to realize that May is a celebratory month for seniors and to get signed up for all the things we're going to be offering. But the April newsletter, unfortunately, Rosalie, I still have the schedule that I had at the time still didn't have the Boulevard walks on it. So if you could give me an updated Seniors on the Go schedule.
Yeah, we haven't started the Boulevard
Okay.
Walk.
Okay, good.
People are calling me and asking me when
okay.
we're going to start them, but I
Okay,
have to meet with Jennifer and Felicia.
okay,
So
good.
as soon as I know that, I'll send you an email.
Awesome. Okay, so I think that's about it, except for that one special thing that we wanted to also do for Older Americans Month is, my understanding from the staff is that we used to do a very popular lobster roll sign up, which was something that we would, instead of being, all the things so far that we've done have been free. The lobster roll sign up, I think the idea was always to get a really good price by bulk purchasing lobster rolls, but then have the friends subsidize it a little bit. I actually spoke with Carol from Element Care, and she said the Element Care would be willing to subsidize it further. So if we could get a lobster roll, I'm trying to aim for the magic figure of like maybe $5. If we could offer lobster rolls to people for $5, that would be fantastic. Yeah, what, Rosalie?
Elise, the price of lobsters is absolutely
It's-
ridiculous.
it's a
There's no
strong-
way you
it's-
can do it for $5.
I know.
If you go to Market Basket, lobsters are $15.99 a pound.
I know, and
There's
usually
no
they're
way.
$6.99 over there. I'm hoping that the price of lobsters drops really, really sharply, which happens sometimes this time of year as the weather gets better and the boats are going out more. Maybe
I'm
it'll
afraid
be.
Rosalie is the authority on the lobster prices.
I know, but if they are high, it's really bad. But I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna keep an eye on the prices and see if maybe Open Door can help us instead of going to a restaurant.
You know, Elise, Jeff Tom makes, I don't know if I can say that, but he makes a seafood salad sub that is absolutely delicious. So maybe we could do something with seafood salad. I mean, if you
Maybe.
get a good brand, we could do something like that.
Well,
Could
I
he meet a
had.
$5? Could he meet a $5 price?
I think so. Because his sub is huge and his prices are reasonable.
And we've got subsidies too. Like I said, Element Care is willing to kick in a couple bucks for each one. Of course, they want a flyer to go in that just says the lobster roll subsidized by, brought to you by, but they'll kick in a couple bucks and I'm sure the friends will kick in a couple bucks. So, we don't need the $5 to be the price that we procure it for. That's just the price we're going to offer it for. And I want to make sure with the, Suzanne.
Well, the local lobstermen can't lobster until I think it's May 15th.
Right.
So
they're
that's
gonna
why you're
drop, I think.
seeing Yeah, you're seeing such a high price for lobster, so maybe if you did it later in May or did it
Maybe,
in
Suzanne, or
June.
In the
maybe even
summer.
early June, yeah. But, and then the other thing too, yeah, is that maybe we can get Open Door to help us and see if, what they can procure some lobster meat for, and
I'm building a list of things I need to make an appointment, now that I know approval on the Rosie's Cafe thing.
yeah,
To begin
yeah.
talk- I'll be making an appointment to see Julie. So if anybody who has questions that they want Julie to answer, just send them on to me, please.
Yeah, and I have a meeting with Nora actually right after this meeting today. I'm supposed to
Good.
get on the phone with Nora to talk about stuff from over the Open Door. And
Good.
one of the things too that I want to do, and just if everybody else kind of agrees this is a good idea, I really think that for something like this, for the lobster roll distribution and the gift bag distribution, I want to get a flyer to the Housing Authority, to Gail over at Housing, to make sure that they know maybe a day ahead of everybody else. You know what I mean? Because I really think that if you're going to offer the ability to give somebody a lobster roll for $5, that ability is going to mean a little bit more to people who are very low income. And if we can target them and give them a chance to get on the list for both of those things, the lobster rolls, gift bags, whatever, maybe just the day before it goes out to the wider population through the newsletter or the other communications channels. I like that idea. I like the idea of just giving the folks that are in that, you know, in Gloucester Housing, just maybe a day or two to get kind of a leg up on the wider population. So that's something that I'm kind of planning on too. And when we do the gift bag distribution, Rosalie, maybe we can, as we did with some of the other things in the past, maybe we can offer to deliver them to the Housing Authority sites. We can do a drive-through gift bag
Awesome.
here, and we can use
Awesome.
the Seniors on the Go bus, maybe go to
Awesome.
the Housing Authority sites and bring them their gift bags.
Yeah.
That's what we had done in the
Awesome.
past. So that's
Yep.
what I'd like to plan for
Yep.
again. So. And that's it.
Any further questions for Elise before we move on? Cool. Under new business, I should give you a bit of a preamble. Elise's job description is different from the prior Senior Center Director, Lucy Sheehan. And in there is no mention of her working hand in glove with the Friends of the Council on Aging, with the exception of an advisory capacity. Under the former administration, Lucy did extensive book work. She was a signer on the Friends account. And it was a system that over the years had been allowed to develop and seemed to work reasonably well. But from the standpoint of a city employee, it was, in my estimation, improper use of a city employee's time to be doing that, let alone the mixing of the city and an independent organization with its own 501c3 and whatnot. So that, and the fact that some of the comfortable meeting arrangements that Friends of the Council on Aging operate under are not, it seems, in strict adherence to their guidelines of bylaws and things of that nature. Now, they're an independent organization and they certainly have the privilege of running things the way they want to. But for my position as chair here and working hand in glove with Elise, I found it was just an inappropriate relationship at this moment and until things are further defined. And I certainly wanted Elise off of their checking account, which just was inappropriate. So the most practical way to do that is what we are doing, and that is that Elise, if and when she attends Friends meetings, will be attending as a guest, and with no formal relationship other than that, and as the advisor here. So therefore, in conversations that I had with Howard Frisch, who's the co-chair of the Friends, we decided that perhaps we could have a liaison between Council on Aging and the Friends in order to keep them informed about our initiatives, and so that we might work cooperatively with them, but without having Elise be the messenger for that. Howard liked that idea. I sure did. And I asked them to canvass their group as to who they thought they would like to have as the liaison person. And they unanimously asked for Jay Gustafaro. And I've spoken with him and he's delighted to be asked. I also learned that Howard is not on our list for receiving our minutes. So that it's no wonder that they felt disturbed if Elise was not going to be attending regularly, that they would somehow be off as a satellite somewhere. Because as Howard said, how can we know what to create initiatives for if we don't know what you're doing? So they will be getting our minutes and any other publications that I send around to you, Howard. Not all the members of the Friends, but Howard will be getting that for his distribution to the group. And Jay Gassafaro has agreed to attend their meetings, acting on our behalf, so that he can keep them apprised and deliver messages and take messages back again. Is that okay with all of you? Yes, Val?
Could we also come up with a backup if in the event Jay isn't able to come? Could you appoint someone to be his backup?
Suzanne, would you be willing to do that?
Sure.
Great.
Good job.
See? Suzanne, you were not going to get out of this meeting without me asking you to do one thing. But a good shot, Val. Yes, because Jay is also a fisherman, and he goes happy fellow to Tobago when the weather gets terrible here in February. So,
Suzanne, what I always do when I have to report to City Council, when it's my turn to update them on Council on Aging,
yes.
I take the last few months meeting minutes and I kind of summarize what the important elements were, just as kind of a reminder to make sure that I cover everything.
Fine.
So that just might be something that you and Jay could take over. But
Exactly. Well, I will, because also he's vice chair, and so I need to keep him apprised of what I'm doing. So if I don't show, he can cover for me. So it's a very fair. But Suzanne, if Jay's pretty good about knowing his calendar, so if he knows he's not going to be available for a meeting, he'll deal with you directly. Okay.
Sure.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you. That's a great idea to do this. Thank you.
Elise, did I phrase that correctly in terms of your withdrawal from the Friends? Is that okay?
Yes, yeah, I think that characterized it well, Fred. Yeah, and naturally, I'm hoping that some of the issues that, Fred raised with Howard do eventually get addressed. And I just do want to make it clear that I'm, I've been advised, did a webinar that the Mass Council on Aging offered on relationships with friends and, do this, don't do that, kind of in that. And when the Friends can kind of address some of these things, I would be delighted to be that liaison again on my time, which is the way it would need to be, as me volunteering my own personal time, which I am. I just want to make that clear that I'm delighted to do once the issues that have been identified that need addressing, once they get addressed. So.
But
This
you may
isn't a
have to
matter of
pry.
me, like, not wanting to, to put the time in,
No,
because
but you may have to pry Jay loose, because he's delighted with the idea. I hardly had the question out before he said yes. So we're
well, I think Jay and I could end up being a great, the Jay and Elise team eventually could perform that role very well. So I don't see it as an either or, but
Great.
yeah, no, that's great. Thanks, Fred.
Any further questions on that subject before we move on? Cool. The building facility and equipment, we had, again, the project was in the palm of our hands in order to rehabilitate the kitchen. It was in the $100,000 range. That also included the adjustments to the social day room for the distribution of Meals on Wheels without involving the kitchen. And my understanding is that the operation for distribution of the meals to the Meals on Wheels people in the social day room as it is working well. And perhaps with the time that has passed and the development of the kitchen at Open Door, that I'm just hoping that very possibly the kitchen as is, with all the equipment operational, with the scale with which we are talking about the gradual reopening, that we may not need to make anywhere nearly the changes in the kitchen that we were initially talking about doing. Rosalie, the kitchen as it is now passes from public health standpoint. Is that correct?
Correct. The only thing that I suggested is if you're not using the equipment, or if the equipment is broken, get rid of it. Get it out.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to have any broken equipment or any equipment that you're not using. Get it out. And that'll make more room in there
Yeah.
also.
Because
There's a grease trap, there's a hand sink, there's a 3-bay sink, refrigerator, the stove, steam table. Everything was working.
Good, because they've become so adept now at creating meals for takeout that they didn't have their focus on that they may well be able to initially provide a pleasant packaged lunch for people who come for the senior center. That augmented by the soup and salad bar, which is an independent effort to the senior cares contract, which Open Door was going to be taking over for the congregate meal at the senior center. So somehow a combination thereof, that we may not have to do the serious rehab work in the kitchen, which is a savings for the city, and why create problems if we don't have to. The pass-through takeout window, the mayor didn't like that idea at all. She just thought it was not a good idea, period. Anybody want me to push back on that? I didn't feel inclined to.
No.
Okay, cool. The generator, in conversation with the mayor, having recently noted that the senior center was 30 minutes without power, and it could have gone on a hell of a lot longer than that. We were just lucky to be able to discover what the problem was. The mayor has asked Elise to put the generator into her budget. We have a figure. The last figure I had was for Michael Hale, which is now probably a couple of years old, was $45,000, and that was the cost of the generator and its installation on a stand, which would what I understand is that the maintenance people would be loath to climb up a ladder mounted against the wall, which is the only way to get onto the roof of the senior center. Apparently the HVAC people are more accustomed to doing that because we have 5 air handlers on the roof of the building. But in order to do maintenance on the generator, which is periodic, it would have to be more accessible, and yet it has to be high enough so that vandals can't get at it. So the plans for doing this and folding it into Michael Hale's already existing contract that he has for the many generators around the city that are placed in the sewerage pumping stations around the city. Each one has to have access to auxiliary power, and many of them have on-site generators there. This would be a machine that would be powered by city gas so that there's no fueling problems. This is not a diesel, this is a gas machine. And it would have a switch on it that detects a power failure and runs seamlessly until the power is restored. So that the senior center is a haven for people escaping cold and also heat. And the mayor has been interested in this project for as long as I have. And so she's asked to have it put back into the budget. Will it make it through the budget process? Who knows? But it's at least it's back on a front burner for consideration by those who have the ultimate responsibility for creating the city's budget, which is city council. So that's where we are with the generator. Val, you look.
I just heard you. I heard the price, and
yeah, I know.
Elise, are you going to put that on your budget?
I did put it in my budget, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was told to, so I did, Val.
good. I
Yeah,
wonder if
well, we
there's
can
any
do.
grant funding out there to help soften that. It's a one-time expense.
Yep. There.
It always helps. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I don't. One of the reasons I go to see the mayor is so that she gives me marching orders, and there was no ambiguity of that, and there were people in the room to witness it as well. So this was not idle conversation. And the minute the power went out at the senior center, I get a text saying one word: generator from the mayor. Made me feel powerful that way. And you know, in all of our conversations, I have this thing about saying to seniors, come hither. You know, come hither, leave the safety of your home and get on a K bus and come to the senior center. We will provide you with lunch. We will reunite you with your friends, and we will see to it that by Arcada's generosity, we will see to it that you get home safely. We ask people in the event of brutal cold weather, or the opposite in the summer scorching heat, to come hither. Trust us, come and stay with us. We're designed to receive you and to offer you safe haven. And if we lose power, we fail them.
Right.
And well, just I'll leave it at that. This is not an arbitrary thing. We must not lose power there. And the way we are set up, we lost power 30 minutes and nobody quite knew why to start with, is my understanding. And that we just can't do that.
Right. So through the chair, Elise, when is your, what is your date for you to review the budget with BNF in the city council?
May 19th, Val. I have a meeting next week with, I think, with the CAO and like a couple people from the auditor's office to kind of have a preliminary discussions about it. Then it goes in front of BNF on May 19th.
So can I suggest that we put this on our agenda for the May Council on Aging so we can
Yes.
see what the budget is, and that will be a good way for us to maybe join the Zoom call just to be in the audience to,
Yes.
To support you.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
The nice things about BNF is that we now post all of those meetings as Council of the Whole. So that means that I can actually discuss it even though I'm not on BNF, which
Yep.
is nice. Although I might, you know, I'm not sure, I am ex officio on this group, so I don't know if I'd have to recuse myself. But the nice thing about this process is that all the counselors have an opportunity to hear all the department managers at those meetings. So,
If you are not allowed to vote here, I just don't see how you can be forced to recuse yourself. You either
right, exactly. So exactly.
they-
So this is my first year that I haven't been allowed to vote, right? You remember in the olden days, I
Yeah,
was.
of course you could. I
Right.
wish you could
So
still.
this was something new. And so I would totally agree with you that I should have complete authority to be able to vote on the Council on Aging budget.
Absolutely.
For the reasons that you just brought forward. Absolutely.
So are you, so for the agenda item for next month's meeting, is it going to be, it's going to be the budget, not the generator, right? You want to
That's
talk
No, I
budget
would
in
like to
general?
see,
Yeah, no, the generator is now in their court, and we need to see it on the budget. That's what the mayor's idea was to move it up beyond us. Conversation. That was a step forward. Put it on the budget.
right. I think it, Elise, I think it would be great just to have you do a drive run of what you're going to present and your numbers and share it with all of
Love
us.
it.
Yeah, cool.
I love
Great.
that, Val. Where it's my first one, I love
Yeah.
the idea of having all of you be a dry run. I think that's great.
Good.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
let's see.
I have to run. I have to go to another meeting.
Okay, thank
so-
you.
But anyway, thank you so much for all your hard work.
Cool.
Thanks,
It was
Val.
a great
Good to see
meeting.
you.
Thank you, Val.
Thank you.
Guys, we are winding down. The next item is, does anybody have anything specific?
Wash the dishes.
I'm confused. Anybody for agenda items for the next meeting? Anybody would like to put anything specific on beyond the yours? Yes, Felicia.
I don't know if we want to put it on the next agenda or if we just want to start thinking about it. We have our Council on Aging van that eventually we're gonna have to start getting him up and running again.
Yes.
So that's something I was thinking about, that I just want us to begin to think when we can do that, when we should start that process. The other thing, it goes back to Elisa's director's report. Charlie cards for seniors allows them to ride commuter rail, MBTA, CADA bus at half price. And I believe in the past, the senior center opened the MBTA up to do that during the month of May. I'm gonna think if there's a way that CADA can like give you the forms, if we can do it electronically, because that's what we've been doing with other councils. Because CADA will do the cards if you're 60 and above. For the MBTA to do the cards, you have to be 65. So if there's a way that we can do that during the month of May or advertise it during the month of May, we can get seniors to get those Charlie cards, which the biggest benefit is commuter rail.
Right. Yeah, that sounds great, Felicia. So,
Okay.
so should we, if we're gonna set that up to have it, try to have it be part of the May celebratory stuff, we should probably have some advanced conversations before the next COA board meeting.
Yeah.
But then we can kind of wrap it up and talk to the rest of the board about what any anything they might want to contribute, but let's you and I just talk a little bit more about that.
Okay,
That sounds fantastic. So Charlie Cards half price, okay.
yep.
Rosalie, anything to add to the agenda for next month that we there are a lot of standard things that the agenda isn't going to change a lot, but you've got another subject you want to talk about?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Cool. One more shot going around. Anybody have any thoughts that have occurred to them after we've left? Yes, Susan.
Now that we've got, or hopefully we'll have the resource directory up and running, I think it's time that we start working on the website and figuring out exactly where we're going to go with that.
Okay.
So I think we need a working group meeting before the next board meeting.
Okay.
And then I would like to see it on the agenda so I can update the full board on what we're thinking.
Well, the subject of web page and resource guide, internet communications is boilerplate on the agenda. Would you amend that? No, I'm going to carry that. That's going to be almost forever.
Old business, right?
Oh, I didn't realize what I signed up for.
Well, it needs constant attention, and it should. It deserves. It's our mouthpiece out to the world. And also it's a model for other council on aging to echo. They know about this in the western part of Massachusetts. I see to it that they do, so. So
Awesome.
this is very good stuff, very good stuff. All right, let's see, our next meeting is Tuesday, May the 4th, 2021 at 9:30. Everybody okay with that? Cool. Anything further before we adjourn? May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Suzanne.
I second it.
We're done, Rosalie. Thanks so much, one and all. Good meeting. Always a good meeting.
Yeah, you guys are great. Thank you so much.
Bye, Susan. See you, Elise.
Yeah, have a
Morning,
great day,
everyone.
everyone.
I'm dying for an in-person meeting. I'm
Yes.
tired of Zoom.
We're getting there, Rosalie. We're getting there. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.